see my big brother. All of us should understand that to move this country forward, it should be Obiandi Nilin. Until let Obiandi Nilin. Thank you. I wish you all well. This one will come.
Choboy. That's the chairman of Forum, Dr. Bampo Ado. The program continues to usher in His Excellency. I'm introduced to you a friend of workers and a friend of labor. During his short term in office, we have been able to conclude our negotiations. Although next year we are expecting more. He has been a friend working with since he came to office. He's the MP for Wa Central and is the Minister for Labor, Job and Employment. Honorable Dr. Rashid Pelpo. Sir, please, you have the floor to usher in the president. Choboy! Let's do it for our friend. Choboy!
Choboy! Choboy! We are here to usher in the one man who has seen it all. He has been a worker who said sir to people. He climbed to be a worker who was in the middle class. He joined politics from the base, became an assemblyman, moved to become of parliament, became a deputy minister, became vice president, became president of the Republic of Ghana. Everything about working has passed through his hands. And for the first time in the history of this, in the negotiation for our base salary scheme for workers, we found him, came alone, sat in the negotiation, negotiated with workers, eyeball to eyeball, and eventually we agreed to a certain percent. Today he has authorized me to revise the labor law to reflect your best working conditions. He has asked me 24-hour economy reflects in the labor law. And who are working out, who want to work outside Ghana must reason to go out there, must be respected as Ghanaian workers, must have their comfort and security protected, must have their health protected, and must be paid according to what they work for. So this is a man who is going to address us. And ladies and gentlemen, observing all protocols, may I now invite His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, President of the Republic and Chief of, to address us all.
Thank you. Minister, please resume your seats. Thank you. Let me recognize the National Chairman of TUC. Let me recognize the Secretary General of TUC. Let me recognize the Ministers of State who are present here. Let me recognize the National Chairman of NDC, members of the Diplomatic Corps, affiliate national unions and organized labor groups, comrades and distinguished workers. Let me proceed on established protocol so that we can save on time. Let me start by workers of Ghana a happy May Day. And I stand before you with profound gratitude and immense pride as the President of the Republic of Ghana and Commander of the Armed Forces to say another day on our national calendar. It is May Day, a sacred moment of reflection, celebration, and appreciation of our nation's workers. It is a day set aside to honor the gallant men and women through whose tireless hands, resilient spirits, and unwavering commitment we continue to build the Ghana we all want together. On behalf of the government and indeed the entire people of Ghana, I wish to extend our heartfelt gratitude to every worker across the length and breadth of our nation. I say congratulations to the farmer who rises before dawn to go and till the land. I say congratulations to the nurse who stays late into the night caring for the sick. I say ayiko to the teacher who shapes the minds of our children. I say well done to the engineer who builds our roads and our bridges. And I say congratulations to the market trader, the artisan, the mine worker, the factory worker, and the security officer, and even the entrepreneur for keeping our nation going. Each of you forms a part of the heartbeat of our national journey. Your resilience through recent economic challenges that tested the very fabric of our endurance as a nation has been nothing but heroic. You demonstrated that the spirit of the Ghanaian worker is unbreakable. When adversity came knocking, you answered with hard work. When uncertainty loomed, you responded with hope. You are indeed the true architects of our recovery, and you are the backbone of Ghana's future. It is because of your sacrifices, your dedication, and your endless optimism that we gather not just to acknowledge you, but to celebrate your greatness as well. From the very first day I assumed office as president, I made a solemn promise to stand with you, to fight with you, and to prioritize your welfare above all else. I understood then, as I do now, that the prosperity of Ghana cannot be separated from the well-being of its workers. In February this year, just a few weeks into my administration, I demonstrated this commitment by meeting with the National Tripartite Committee. After thorough consultations, we agreed to increase the national minimum wage by 10%, raising it from 18.3 Ghana cedis to almost 20 cedis, effective from 1st March 2025. I understand and respect your sense of sacrifice on this matter, considering that inflation at the time was hovering at a whopping 23%. I'm fully aware that this 10% increase is not optimal, but the circumstances of our economy dictated that we do so at this particular time. As I told you, this year's budget is a reset budget, and my hope is that with the austere steps we are taking this year, we will be able to see better remuneration in the next couple of years ahead. My comrades and friends, sacrificing to rescue our country from the economic ledge into which it was plunged is not meant for workers alone. You are not the only ones to tighten your belts. Sacrificing is meant for all of us who are servants of the people, including I, the President. And that is why I will lead by example. I will be prudent and modest in handling of our public resources, and I expect all my appointees to do the same. But improving wages is only the beginning. True commitment demands bold action that go beyond just immediate relief. That is why in March, I organized the historic National Economic Forum that brought together stakeholders from every sector, labor leaders, employers, civil society, academia, and policymakers to engage in honest, forward-looking dialogue on a fiscal policy for our economy going forward. At this forum, we mapped out short-term, medium-term, and long-term transformative policies to rebuild and reposition our economy for sustainable growth. Following this spirit of innovation and forward planning, we presented the maiden budget of this government to Parliament, which is anchored on sizing the economy and salvaging it from the path of destruction. Beyond stabilizing the economy, the budget was heavy on multi-sectoral investments, which are aimed at revitalizing the productive sectors and putting Ghanaians to work. Spanning infrastructure to technology through to agriculture, we have committed to constructing a robust and resilient economy that enables us to meet our needs in a sustainable manner. Our agricultural investments are fashioned around the Feed Ghana initiative, which is a bold step that seeks to modernize agricultural production, agribusiness, and create sustainable jobs along the agricultural value chain. By supporting our farmers with improved seeds, access to technology, better market opportunities, we will not only be securing our food systems, but will also be empowering our rural communities and ensuring that agriculture becomes a powerful engine of our economic growth. As President, I understand that true development cannot be achieved unless people who drive that development, our workers, are supported, they are respected, and they are empowered. I understand that the Ghanaian worker does not just want praise on May Day, but he wants action every day on making his conditions better. The Ghanaian worker wants a government that will walk its talk, a government that will stand by you through hardship and prosperity alike. And I'm here to assure you that this government under my leadership is that government you have been waiting for. I've taken note of the issues raised by my brother and comrade Joshua Ansah, General Secretary of the TUC, on the long-standing and inequitable disparity in public service wage structure. And this is the reason why, as part of the Constitution review process, attention will be paid to the establishment of a permanent independent emoluments commission that will determine a fair and equitable public service wage structure so that we can bridge the unacceptable gap between the conditions of service of Article 71 office holders and other sections of workers within the public sector. I know that morale in the workplace is more than just a matter of salary. It is about dignity, it is about fairness, it is about opportunity and trust. It is about the feeling that your labor is recognized and that your voice is valued and your future is secure. And that's why I'm committed not only to improving conditions of service, but also to restoring hope and confidence in the Ghanaian workforce. My administration will invest in morale-boosting interventions that matter. We will introduce comprehensive reforms across the public and private sector labor environment by ensuring timely salary payments, modernizing workplace conditions, and reducing the bureaucratic bottlenecks that frustrate your productivity. We'll also prioritize better occupational health and safety policies and ensure timely pension contributions and payments, and eliminate the neglect that many of our retired workers have had to endure for far too long. Every worker deserves to retire with pride and not with anxiety. It is only recently we undertook major reform in our pension administration, introducing different tiers in our pension payment scheme. And yet, as Comrade Joshua Ansah has rightly stated, there are severe distortions and inequality in our pension system. I will initiate a preliminary discussion with stakeholders through mutually selected ad hoc committee to make proposals on how the current challenges with our pension system can be addressed. And the organized labor will be fully engaged in this committee. In partnership with labor unions and employers, we'll deepen skills development and retraining programs so that workers can adapt to the changing needs of industry. Our world is evolving and so must our workforce. No Ghanaian will be left behind in the new economy we are building. Comrades and friends, many of you work in state-owned enterprises that have been atrociously managed over the last 8 years. I urge you not to fight. When management is driving your enterprise into ruin, you are always the first to be affected by job losses when these institutions collapse. Your enterprise where you work belongs to you. They guarantee you lifelong employment, and so you must protect those enterprises. When things are going wrong, do not be afraid to say so. And as president, I will back and support you to set things right. Today we celebrate the sacrifices of workers in Ghana and around the globe. And we had a conference with SIGA, giving the debt position of state-owned enterprises, and almost all of them are in debt. Even companies like Gayhawk Distilleries, where when I was president, they used to pay a little dividend to government. Today, they also owe. And the question I ask is, how can you sell alcohol and be in debt? When Ghanaians are happy, we drink alcohol. When we are sad, we drink. When we are not happy, we are not sad, we drink. So can you sell alcohol and lose? And so we're charging the management of state-owned enterprises and the workers. Let us work together to make sure that we make these institutions viable, because those institutions belong to all of us. My brothers and sisters, there are millions more of working age who desire to join the workforce, but they are hindered due to the lack of openings and opportunities. We've long been aware that the youth bulge poses a significant risk to our stability as a nation. It is for this reason why in the last few weeks I have launched various flagship job creation interventions that are aimed at offering our teeming unemployed youth avenues for sustainable employment. In the period under reference, I have launched the 1 Million Coders program, which has elicited interest from close to 150,000 applicants up to date. This is an initiative that will equip our youth with world-class coding and digital skills in today's rapidly changing world. I also launched the Jumawra initiative last Monday, which aims to facilitate the creation of 10,000 new businesses every year for young people, with a special focus on empowering our youth for the job market. This initiative is expected to create at least 20,000 decent jobs annually. And only yesterday, I launched the National Apprenticeship Program, which targets to train about 500,000 youth over 5 years with artisanal skills. These initiatives are not isolated interventions. They are interconnected pillars of a broader vision to build a resilient, inclusive, and future-ready Ghanaian economy. An economy that is not only recovering, but one that will thrive, innovate, and lead us to prosperity. Through increased investment in technical and vocational education, through support for continuous professional development, and through better alignment between education and the labor market, we will equip our people with the tools that they need, not just to survive, to thrive. This administration is committed to decentralizing opportunity. It should not be the case that the only real chance at prosperity exists if you live in Accra or Kumasi. We will work to bring investment, jobs, and infrastructure every region of this country, so that every Ghanaian worker, from Wa to Aflao, from Bole to Keta, from Drobo to Enchi, can have a fair and equal shot at building a meaningful life for themselves. Our national reset agenda cannot succeed without labor at the table. And that is why I think the institutional relationship between government and organized labor through regular structured dialogue. The Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations will not operate as an isolated entity, but as an active convener of tripartite collaboration where government, business, and labor will meet regularly to assess progress, to address grievances, and shape policies that work for everyone. This is not just about consultation, about co-ownership of the national development agenda. The Ministry of Labor, your ministry, may not have gotten all the resources it requested to carry out its mandate this year, but I can assure you that it affects every ministry, and it is only a temporary measure to reset our economic fortunes. Next year, things will be much better. The fight against Galamsey is a complex one. And when I was vying for the presidency, I did not kid myself that when I come into office, I will win that fight in 4 months. Yet, we will not give up. Our gallant men of the armed forces and security services are up to the fight and will continue to score successes against the selfish who are destroying our forests and polluting our bodies. As far as the fight against Galamsey is concerned, I say a luta continua. Ladies and gentlemen, the ECG has been brought to its knees by a culture of poor governance over the last 8 years, with a debt of 68 billion Ghana cedis and rising. If we do not do something drastic, our whole power tower will collapse. We can only bring down power tariffs if we improve efficiency in the distribution of power. Let me assure you that is not my intention to privatize the ECG as an institution. Our attention is more a public-private collaboration to inject efficiency into our downstream electricity distribution system. And I must say, it will not be the first time. It's been done before. As president, in the free zones, a private company, Enclave Power, was giving the rights of metering and billing in the free zones. Electricity company provided them with bulk supply of power. They paid the electricity company until today. They still pay electricity company monthly on time every power electricity company produces to them. And their billing and collection in the free zones enclave is 99% of revenue is collected. This is an existing example, and I'm sure that we can make our electricity distribution more efficient through public-private partnerships. But I can assure you and read my lips for emphasis Electricity Company as an institution will not be privatized. Fellow citizens, let me say this clearly to all Ghanaian workers. Whether you're a teacher in the classroom, whether you're a nurse in a rural chips compound, whether you're a porter in the market, whether you're a miner deep in the bowels of the earth, whether you're a security guard on night shift, a digital or innovating code from your laptop, I want to tell all Ghanaian workers that you matter. Your contribution matters, and your dreams matter to us. And under my hands, we will make sure that those dreams are realized. Let us leave this May Day not only with hope in our work, but with purpose in our hearts. Let us move forward as one people, workers and government, unions and employers, public and private, united in our mission to build a Ghana that rewards our efforts, protects our people, and inspires the next generation. The work ahead is great, but so is the strength of the Ghanaian worker. And with that strength, there is nothing we cannot achieve. May God bless Ghanaian workers. Long live organized labor. Long live the of Ghana. And may God bless our homeland, Ghana.
Thunderous clap with a big shout.
Yeah,
Boy! One for a year.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you very much, Your Excellency, for hard work. It's time to reward distinguished service. Yes, the list is here.
chairs. They should start distributing their chairs. Take it again. Efforts of our members in seeking their welfare and economic interests, as well as pursuing principles that would enhance the work of the civil service and the local government service and eventually promote national development. I echo all CLOSAC members. You have done well, but the battle has not ended. We need to strive and work harder to achieve our goals. One canker that has plagued the civil service and the local government service is political interference in the affairs of these institutions. The Supreme Court ruling on 4th June 2017 states an effective civil service is essential to modern-day democratic society. A measure of neutrality is necessary in order to preserve their effectiveness. With every guaranteed human right under the Constitution comes an overriding responsibility which is geared towards the public interest or greater good. It is for this reason that the framers of the 1992 Constitution placed limitations on the exercise of some human rights by certain classes of persons, including members of the civil service and local government service. Best practices and government socio-political evolution require that no civil servant or local government servant should owe or be perceived to owe appointment or promotion to partisan activities. Partisan activities tend to be obvious and explicit, and they are more often than not visible and known to those in and out of public service. Once these commitments are known, the principle of neutrality and integrity are weakened and endangered. Political interference manifests in various forms. That's one, direct appointments by government into these services. Two, various ministers coming in with special assistants, technical advisors, and special aids and others. Three, posting of chief directors. In some instances, some of these political apparatchiks do not have the requisite qualification, experience, and exposure, as well as other competencies. On this day, May Day 2025, CLOSAC is dissatisfied and dismayed at the tactics of dislodging and crippling of the civil service and the local government service through political means. CLOSAC would wish to call on government to put measures to halt this practice of ignoring and disregarding existing tenets and procedures in the services. For CLOSAC, we stand for a revitalized civil service to regain its past glory. The local service should not be entangled with political interference that will stifle its progress. Article 284 of the Constitution of Ghana states as follows: a public officer shall not put himself in a position where his personal interests conflict or is likely to conflict with the performance of the ends of his office. The neutrality of the public officer is key in fostering the principle of anonymity, neutrality, permanence in the public services. It is incumbent on CLOSAC to draw attention of government to the schedule under Section 14 of the Presidential Transition Act 2012 Act 845, which stipulates the category of persons whose appointment should cease upon the assumption of office of the new president. We have examined and analyzed the act. We are here to identify any provision authorizing the president to terminate, post, promote, and transfer any chief executive officer, chief directors, heads of departments, and any employee of public institutions and public corporations. CLOGSAG is calling on the Minister of Employment, as a matter of urgency, to immediately convene the National Permanent Committee to discuss this pressing national issue. Happy May Day to all members and workers in Ghana and the world at large. God bless you all. Thank you.
So we're still on the May Day conversations, and I'm here with my co-hosts, my two very able gentlemen in the persons of Mr. Clement Yabankwe and Mr. Nanayaw Asare. Hello once again.
Hello. Today's May Day celebration has been very eventful, and I mean we keep hearing a lot of statements and a lot of getting new ideas of where the trajectory of the country is actually going in terms of the plans for instance, when Mahama delivered the speech of wages and salaries, and then how the future looks green and all that. Yeah. So we have quite a lot to discuss.
Yeah, but before we even go to our president's speech, the executive secretary of CLOGSAG, that's what we just saw, his speech on May Day, talking about how CLOGSAG is also very, very unhappy about political interference in the civil service. So, my gentlemen, let's get into the conversation.
So, Mama, I'll start by saying yes. Yes, hits its rights on the note.
That's the
executive secretary of CLOGSAG. Yes, he hits right on the note, talking about a bit of political interference. We know some weeks to some months now with the issue of, as you said earlier, the births and deaths registrar. We all knowing he being affiliated to the National Democratic Congress, and even after all this, he was being appointed. Exactly, he was being appointed into such a position. So you could see how CLOGSAG is standing firm. The reason for all this, and I will still say, is not because they are against any appointment from the president, but their concern is that anything being done to the civil service or to the local government service should be accordance to what the constitution has stipulated. So before you appoint anybody to that kind of authority, you should be with the governing council, let them have the approval before it goes out there. So if you do something without the stakeholder, that is when you see all these kind of issues. So you can see executive secretary of CLOGSAG is just calling the government that let's go back to the drawing board. What is missing? Let's put it there. Where the dot was not dotted, let's cross it. So it is all about, as we said earlier, reviewing the activities of the employer and also the activities of the employees this very day. And he also touched on the fact that the civil service, he is on the start of resetting the civil service so that its past glory would now be seen again. And I say it's a very good thing they've started, of which Clock TV is doing that great job. And I know the producer is right here with us, that's resetting the civil service. So it is a bigger picture of the president, Dramani Mahama, and CLOGSAG is also taking that task of resetting the civil service. I think it's a good thing. And we say are equal to CLOGSAG members for, despite all these issues, they are still contributing their quota to national development, because I would say they are the government machinery. That's the civil service. The various ministers can't function. Without the civil service, we will not have a fruitful economy running. Be it a Ministry of Finance, be it a Ministry of Youth and Sports, you can name them. They all falls under the civil service. And that is what I would say.
Considering the fact that this government says they are a listening government, and the executive secretary of CLOGSAG also, on behalf of all civil servants, actually come out to shed some light on our displeasure with political interference. We're hoping that it will not just fall on deaf ears, or it will not just be, okay, yes, you said what you want, but we will do what we want, because it seems as though we are in a system where everything is politicized. You're either MPP or NDC, even to get the most minute of services to even be rendered to you. Sometimes you need to know somebody to call somebody in any of these agencies. And if the executive secretary is coming out to say that no, political interference should not be condoned, at least we've seen some of it over the years, even before the appointment of the registrar for the births and deaths, there are other appointments in the past. And if this government, being a new government, pressure, there are more eyes on them, we're hoping that they actually listen to this and then do something about it, rather than just hear it and then, somebody might even attribute it to the dead good syndrome some years back and say, oh, or something like that. It may not give them a good rep, and it will also affect the civil servants, because the progression of your roles, at some point you have to also improve, you have to get somewhere, but then when other people are coming from other places because of political affiliations, you're not able to progress or grow in hierarchy in your job, so you are stuck in one position for a very long time. Then it also now affects productivity, it affects efficiency as well. So what else?
Well, this particular one, I would like to take it from the genesis of why Clocksag is having that particular stance. So, we all know the teachers, all the other public service institutions, the teachers and the nurses, the doctors, they can actually go and stand for district assembly elections, they can go and stand as MPs, they can go and stand for their various constituencies.
Yeah.
When they lead and then they are sworn into parliament, then they may decide to continue or not. Same for teachers, same for nurses, same for doctors. When it comes to a career civil servant, once you show overtly that you belong to a political party or you belong to a certain political class, you are supposed to distance yourself from the civil service.
Okay.
This was warning because it was seen as though, why are you singling out civil servants or civil service staff and allowing teachers? You're allowing, you can say that all of them are maybe on a similar salary structure and all that. Why are you doing that to civil servants? So Clocksag took it upon themselves to take it to court, to seek fair interpretation on what Article 91 and what Article 95 actually is about civil servants. I'm talking about all of them not being, certain institutions not allowed to take part in active politics. You talked about the police service, the immigration, the fire service, all these services not being allowed to, or their workers not being allowed to undertake political aspirations or political positions. Now, when they went to court, Sophia Akufu, her leadership, was the presiding judge over that particular one and went to the Supreme Court for interpretation. When it came out, 7 judges voted that Clocksag cannot, or civil servants should not be taking part of, should not, any civil servant that would overtly show its political affiliation to a certain political party should distance themselves from the civil service. This was also taken from the Civil Service Ordinance in 1948, October 1948, where it was said that when Ghana was about gaining independence and then there was movements by some of these institutions that Kwame Nkrumah had actually formed. Now, they went as much to show that if you're a civil servant, at that time they were calling them Akrachifo. So when you're crashing here, you have to distance yourself away from politics. So the civil servant was placed in such a unique hole, and that was why Sophia Akufu she even referenced that particular document. That this is the reason why you are not supposed to, because you are supposed to help in the transitioning from one government to the other. If you go and show that you belong to this particular government or you are for this particular government, if the president is gone or this thing, you don't just showcase your political affiliation to one particular party or the other. And so Clocksag lost in that particular case. That's against Office of the Head of Civil Service, Office of the Head of Local Government Service, and the Attorney General's Department. Clocksag lost. And then they came back. And they came to think that this particular defeat, in the sense, is it to our advantage or to our disadvantage? Why? Because these defeats that we are calling defeat, so defeat, maybe you could help us safeguard civil service rules. For instance, you go and then you realize that from maybe you enter assistant director 2B, you go through the ranks and then you rise to a position that you are supposed to be a chief director. And then just as you are appointed, they tell you that the president has appointed maybe a former DC, a former to come and take your position. Clockstart says that this is very painful. It breaks morale of civil servants. That you work and then it reaches the time that you are supposed to enjoy maybe your apex pay or your apex salary, your highest position. Then you have institutional memory of every practice and procedure of how policies are formed in a particular institution. You are supposed to get to the apex and then they are appointing another person or someone that doesn't deserve or someone that is not in the civil service.
Or someone that's even politically affiliated.
Yeah. Exactly. Because almost all these things, they see them as a reward of being committed to a certain political party. Yeah. Then they appoint you. So it happened after the interpretation. Henry Talamte, some 3 years ago, 4 years ago, was appointed as the registrar of birth deaths. And this Madam Henry Talamte, when further checks were done, going to show that she was affiliated to the NPP. So if you are affiliated to DP, Clockstart then went to court and said that we came to court and we said we want to do politics, and he said we shouldn't do politics. So why is it that a role designated for us, we've got someone who's doing politics to come and do it? That is what Clockstart was saying. That we told us don't do politics, and we've agreed, we've sat down. We cannot engage in partisan politics. We cannot overtly show our political affiliation. So now brought someone who has overtly shown that she belongs to this particular political party. Why have you brought her? So we thought that this would have been a simple thing. The judiciary would have actually ruled that politicians are not supposed to meddle in civil service affairs or civil service positions, because it was clearly stated over there. If you want to engage or overtly show your political affiliation to a certain political party, step away from the civil service. Step away from the services. I'm paraphrasing page 16 of the judgment that we were talking about. Now, if this has been done and the NPP withdrew, the fact of the case is that a lot of people think that Madam Henry Talamte was not sacked. But we can check that she never received any salary from Controlling Accountants General's Department as a civil servant. She was never given a staff ID because the case was in contention in court, and even until now the case has not been decided yet. So the NEC also came into power, and then the precedent continued. Because the case had been decided, the judiciary had not been decided. We thought this would be a simple case for the judiciary because they've gone through it. But now it seems it's become, I said it earlier in the morning, an albatross on their neck in delivering instant justice. If we do it, what will these people say? What will these other people say? Meanwhile, judicial judgments are supposed to serve as precedents.
Yeah. Well, I also think that one of the reasons this seems to be a problem is the fact that we have the combined executive and parliamentary system where sometimes members of parliament are also ministers, because the civil service is to assist the ministers.
Exactly.
Now, if the ministerial rules were neutral, this is not like we have a minister who doubles as an MP where we know that, okay, he's the MP for so and so on this ticket. If we had our ministers who were elected or appointed based on merit and things like that, then the interferences would not have come, because now it's going to be based on merit. So maybe we have Honorable so and so for Minister for Youth and Sports or something, and head of him, maybe all the work he's done in the civil service, blah blah blah, and we give him that opportunity, we vet him, and then we put him there. Then the flow is easier rather than
so when it comes to that. When it comes to that, the law makes allocation for that. You know, there's a certain percentage of ministers that are supposed to be from Parliament, and then there's also a certain percentage, or maybe once you
yes, that's what I'm saying. That's the problem we have, because there are certain systems that have their Parliament very different from the executive. You see, so if we in our constitution maybe we scrap that, where we don't have any ministers coming from Parliament, but rather they work together, just like we have the checks and balances and the powers theories that we know of. If we don't have anything like that, where we have some members of the executive coming from Parliament, then some of these issues would not even be that much of a problem.
I really understand, but it's very, very dicey when you take out the role of, because most of the parliamentarians are also technocrats before they even went to Parliament. For instance, Honorable Atuforsen, Minister Designate for Finance, or Minister for Finance, I should say, is, we could say he's a technocrat when it comes to finance. He has the technical know-how when it comes to finance. And a lot more people. You can see Deputy Minister for Agric is a farmer.
Yes.
So when it comes to Agric,
I'm coming from the perspective of the fact that, you know, Ghana, since our independence and adoption of democratic rule and everything, we kind of copied, from what I remember in school, yes, we a bit of the British kind of rule, a bit of the American, all of that and put together. So there are systems of governance where these two bodies are separate, so you don't have any of them coming from it. So if maybe as a technocrat we deem you fit to be a minister for finance, you may not have to also double as an MP in that situation. So you do your work as a financial technocrat and all of that without any political affiliation. If I'm saying, if what I'm saying is clear.
I just want to add something small to this. So what's the point I was making, I think it's a good thing that implementing it would be another problem.
It's been how many years now?
Currently, we have the Constitutional Review Committee. So things like this need to be looked at critically. Now, on the sense that if we have members of Parliament, and here's the key, I know one day we have a government without majority in Parliament. If we have a situation like this, then how can the government even push things through for Parliament to agree? Of which in our governance, we know that government in power always have majority in Parliament. So for the government to push things through through like that. So if we're able to change the system as they are doing, I think issues like this will not be seen in our governance structure. On the issue of Clocksack issue with this appointment, as you are saying, the point I was making, I think yes, if a situation, a precedent is set that okay, we know you are very good, member of Parliament, you are very good, you can do this work very better. But sorry to say, we have equally people who can equally do that same job. So why don't we change the structure that we have in Ghana, where we have people who are not parliamentarians, who just go in as ministers or civil servants, who will grow from the grassroots and one day be appointed as ministers. And all these are political appointment, as we call it. So I think it should be a discussion to the Constitutional Review Committee for them to consider that and to touch lightly on PS speech.
Just because you mentioned, that's not to cut you, but just because you mentioned about civil servants taking up these ministerial roles. So now, when you look at the Constitution, it sets the apex of the civil servants, which is the chief director, and then it talks about, when you go and look at of chief directors, section 3, it talks about who the chief director is and what he's supposed to do. It goes to say that subsection 3, that is, the chief director is the bureaucratic head of the ministry. The minister is the political head of the ministry. So it is setting the standard that when it comes to bureaucracy and bureaucratic processes, when it comes to the civil service, or when it comes to government institutions, or civil service, that is the chief director
goes the chief director position.
So that is where if you are going to now come into a political role, then Article 91 and 95, the interpretation then comes in that you have to now step away from the civil service.
So I think what we are trying to say is that assuming if the Constitution is reviewed, where we will not have such structure,
so the civil servant, political head,
whereby civil servants,
like you said, the technocrat will be the head there. So as a minister, it is no longer coming from a political perspective.
But on paper, that is.
Yes,
but you cannot take away the politics of it. Because you would need to be affiliated or aligned in a certain way. A president will want to come to work with someone who aligns with his beliefs, and not just anything.
Yes, that's
the reason why. Yes, Executive Secretary in his speech also said that the president should equally check on appointments of CEOs of institutions, even within the civil servant. And you see, it's not only the ministers, it has also affected chief executive officers of some institutions. It has become a norm that if a government comes in power, certain chief executive officers need to go. So you want to sack all of them and put a new one. So if all these things need to be looked at, also, Executive Secretary called the minister into action that such national dialogue need to be have among all the organized members and the stakeholders, whereby they will look at situations like this. But it shouldn't be like we come to power and Nana is the CEO of this because he's not affiliated to you. For all you know, even he might be there, but he might end up doing better than what you might or the person you are bringing in.
And mind you, when it comes to these things, on paper it is different from what is being practiced. So the reason or the logic behind a president maybe taking away someone's position or maybe it's being standard practice and you don't hear them even complain is that when you come into power, you also come and do that to someone.
Yes,
you sitting on that particular seat.
What's happening?
You were appointed by a person and someone was forced to resign. That's
why with what's happening now, it's become a norm. Now, when one government comes into power, certain people need to go.
Exactly.
And things like that. So, because we've been here where we had ministerial vetting, and like you said, some of these people are technocrats, but they've given, I remember a minister for, was it fisheries or something, the person was being vetted. You can see that they don't know anything about the ministry and even what it's about, and all of this can be linked to the fact that but rather we're just talking in an ideal situation, an idealistic setting where if the ministerial appointments were based on merit, were based on your skills, like you said, some of these people are well versed in their craft and things like that, then these vetting things, civil service, why do we have a political head then? You also mentioned the fact that these people who come into power also want people whose beliefs are aligned with theirs. But as at now, as a civil service, if let's say our previous president, Nana Akufo-Addo, maybe half of the civil servants were not in agreement with his manifesto, his beliefs and the rest, they couldn't have also just decided not to work. They will still work.
The civil service has principles behind it.
Yes.
Some of those principles have been hammered on.
Yes. So that's what I'm trying to say, that regardless, if the civil service, we want to be free, like totally free of any political influence, whatever the case, whatever government comes into power, there isn't a likelihood that the civil service will undermine you because of the fact that they don't align with your beliefs. Okay, so but rather they will work. So if there is no political influence, then we can keep going, like you said in the progressions, then we move forward.
Exactly. Nana, I want to say something. Before we chip into the president's speech. Still on the civil service. Now during RCS, I will still always quote this very program because it's very educative. It makes us understand.
You mentioned the full meaning of RCS.
Inserting the civil service. Yes, very educative. A TV program on Clock TV. Very educative because it's making us understand the governance structure and also how the civil service work. Listening to Nana Adjekonwu-Dramina, the former head of civil service, he made a statement that during his administration, a minister who was appointed into office, and this minister went to him and made him know that he doesn't want to work with this chief director, a particular chief director in that ministry, because of what that minister said even before coming to office. So at that issue, when he faced that, he just told him no, he can't change the chief director. To the surprise of the minister, the chief director has already put a skeletal structure of what the manifesto of that particular party is. Immediately the minister came, gave it to the minister, and the minister fell in love working with the chief director throughout the office, and even wanted to work with her even when the person was going on pension. What's the point I'm trying to make? If we have a situation where ministers are not appointed on political merits, but genuinely assuming
on political merits.
Okay, not related to political
ministers being the political head of
the various institutions.
In a constitution, political head and just have a minister.
Assuming you don't have a minister who is not the political head, assuming they are not, and they are, let's say they've passed through the system of a civil servant over the years, and they are the ministers, they understand every and debts.
No, so the constitution makes provision for that in the sense that the civil servant is there to help the political class.
Yes.
So but then once you want to and practically speaking, because you cannot take political language or political affiliation.
I think it's the case. We're talking about the fact that not everything in the constitution should be set in stone. Something should be up for review. But now we are battling political interference in the civil service, and we are saying that in a situation where now these political heads or that position of political head is no longer there, but rather this is a head of this ministry who has been appointed and vetted based on their abilities and qualities and all of that knowledge, rather than okay, something for the boys, let me make you a minister, go here. Then in the process, it is almost shameful sometimes when you listen or watch what is going on. The questions they ask them, you realize these people were just put there because they are also part of the political party, which in the end it puts more pressure on the ministry, or like you said, the chief director, who has to also help out, because the ministry and all the civil servants in there are here to help you. Now if the head you have now is somebody who already knows what they are doing, let's use Farmer John or Honorable John Dumel. He is a farmer, he knows the nitty-gritty at the grassroots and things. For someone like him, when he comes to the top level and he now has to probably learn one or two things about the bureaucratic processes and things like that, he will be able to manage both because he knows what's going on at the grassroots, and then can also add the management level knowledge, and then he will move faster than somebody who has absolutely no idea about anything going on, but rather now has to. So you realize that the time frame in which you can start doing something, how when these ministers or when these members of parliament and we want to hear something from them quickly, you'd see that there will be more delay from someone who does not have in-depth knowledge about what they're doing.
I mean, talking about this, it's it looks like an idealistic situation.
Yes.
But practically, I don't think it's feasible.
Even with our judicial systems, they are appointed and then I think they get voted for, right?
Yes. They are appointed.
They are just appointed.
Yes,
so I know one of the systems where they are appointed and then there's a vote for them.
So that's the assembly, the district chief executives
who are appointed. So if we have a system where these people are appointed and then there is a vote from their colleagues or from maybe the ministry, let's say Clogsag, we want a new president or a new executive secretary. We know the people that have worked in Clogsag and the rest, and then there are a few candidates here and then we vote. At least that would take away that political influence, but rather this is the voice of the people putting their, electing their own head, just like
because the voice of the people
may not always be, yes.
No, isn't that? But the voice of the people is what has reflected in Parliament. Exactly. The voice of the people, yes. So you can never have a 100% situation. But the voice of the people is what we've seen in Parliament. That's the representatives of each and every constituency. That is the members of Parliament. Exactly. And the Act says that a percentage of them, I think about 70% of them should be from Parliament, and then the other 30 can be appointed.
I think that is the unitary government.
Yes. So
that's what we are practicing.
And mind you, before the manifesto is read, before the political parties bring their policies, which they are voted based upon, they have these people
behind the scenes
who work. Or who sort of show, for example, when I remember Kufuor's period, when it came to school feeding program, when it came to NHIS and all those things, you can imagine the people that were behind the thoughts and the processes that went in. And then these people are also representing constituencies.
Exactly.
So when they come and they are in power, it is very difficult not to think about them as the first people to actually go for when it comes to placing them as ministers. So that is it on the side.
So it seems that the main problem here then becomes human behavior, because in this unitary government system it should work, but now it's like because they help push you up there. So somebody who should have gained this chief director position based on how many years of experience will now have to be replaced by somebody who was one of your small boys or small girls, and that is where the problem is. So how then are we going to solve this issue?
I think that's the reason why Executive Secretary has called the Employment Minister that he should engage all stakeholders so that issues like this would not happen again. Because if someone comes to a new government comes, everybody is fighting for his work. So at the end of the day, the person even tries to do something to win the favor of the president, and at the end of the day, the subordinates will be suffering. This is the situation we have in the country. So we don't want all these things to happen. That is why, and I don't want to say something. So that is why the Constitutional Review Committee should look at all these issues, so that we don't have, at the end of the day, ordinary Ghanaian will be that's what I just want to say.
So I think you are hitting the nail right on the head. The Constitutional Review Committee, as we heard, the president actually also reiterated that. But let's still come back to the statement or the speech by the Executive Secretary of Clocks Act. We've talked about Article 95. We've talked about the genesis of the political interference in the civil service and why they went to court. Now, another thing that he mentioned was conflict of interest, and he linked that to Article 284 of the Constitution, and he made he paraphrased an area in there, and now he linked that to the principles of the civil service that we've been talking about: neutrality, anonymity, and permanence of the civil service. Now, the conflict of interest here now becomes who is supposed to appoint civil servants when it comes to, and we mentioned it earlier, it should be, when you look at the president's ability to, or his constitutional right to appoint, it should be the president, but it shouldn't be only the president, be in consultation with the governing council of the service in question, and then it should be in accordance with the governing council of the service concerned. If it's the civil service, then the civil service governing council, or the civil service council, and then it should be in consultation with the Public Services Commission. So these are the two things that are there. But now when we look at the appointments that are being made at this time, we are looking at Samuel Abin Botry, a case in point that was appointed recently, but we are being told that his appointment has been revoked after the election, after the sort of the strike action. Yes.
Okay. That's it.
So now, Abin Botry's appointment, for instance, the president appointed all right, or he nominated him to be appointed. So he was acting registrar of births and deaths. People were saying that since he's acting, then he can act till the 4 years tenure is over. But the Constitution also says that the ability to appoint or to act should still be in accordance with the governing council and in consultation with the Public Services Commission. That was not done. And that is why agitations were there. Now, conflict of interest comes in to an extent that this person is not a career civil servant. This person does not know the nitty-gritties of the principles of the civil service: neutrality, anonymity, and permanence. We are putting a political head for a bureaucratic head position, which should be the apex of the civil servant's career. That is where the issue starts from. That's where the issues are from.
Well, we know that President John Dramani Mahama also gave a speech and made the celebrations at the Independence Square. So let's give our takes briefly, and then we can wrap up and go and join.
Before the president's address, right? We know who was called to come and sort of
yes, the executive secretary.
Was the executive secretary of Clocksack. He made quite some profound statement. Okay. He ended by saying, "What was he saying?" He also reiterated on the neutrality, anonymity, and the permanence of the public services. This time, he went further from the civil service and said the public services. Okay. And he talked about the hiring and the firing of some of the people during transition. Transition teams will come, and then we hear that the president has fired so and so from being the chief director or the CEO of this particular institution. You've been transferred to this, you've been transferred to that. Now, he mentioned some profound statements about the fact that there is no provision in the Constitution of Ghana that mandates the president to hire and fire chief directors. He says that they are still going through the law and they can't find anything like that. Sure. So if there are any provisions on that, then they should come and actually sit down at a round table and then come and do that. And he talked about the fact that if we want to move Ghana forward, then everyone has to play their own part. Politicians have to play their part as politicians. Civil servants or public service servants must play their parts as public servants only and not meddle the two. And he ended up by saying, "Obia in the name." And that was what he mentioned before the president came in.
Right. So, President's speech, he made a number of
yes, he said a lot of things. Nana, before Nana spoke, Nana talked about the fact the executive secretary coming to the scene. I also saw the Minister for Employment and yes, and I was so impressed. Well, after seeing what he was wearing, he was in Clocksack t-shirt. Yes, he was in Clocksack t-shirt. So that should tell you how important Clocksack or civil servants to the government or pushing the agenda of the country. So if the employment minister has got to understand that without taking a critical look at the civil service staff, meaning government machinery can't function properly. So we would leave that one to the
that's an important one.
Yes,
that's a good mention.
Yes, for them to take note of it, that without a civil service, government machinery can't run. And so to the president's speech, I'm so happy. It's quite funny. And he said, "How can you sell alcohol and be good?" This statement of the president, I was so shocked for him to read that. It's true, because when you go to some of the alcoholic shops, they'll tell you that, hey, for alcohol there will gain profit, but a state-owned institution will run an alcoholic business and at the end of the day run at a loss. What does that mean? Exactly. So the reason behind all this is that he's trying to tell that as management or as workers, let's sometimes take the work as our own. It's for the government, all right, but let's treat it as our own. We shouldn't just treat it because it belongs to the government, so we'll handle it anyhow. We also make the same issue to ECG and how ECG is in debt currently. So he also said something that anything that you see at your workplace which is not good, kindly report. Now he has given us the room that if you see things around which is not good, which is not going well as it's supposed to be, kindly make authorities aware. As we said, this is the time to review every activities you do. It's May Day. It's a time to sit down and review whatever you've been doing. So if you know that what you are doing, something behind that is not really going right, kindly alert management about it, and management will deal with it. About the team, he also said that there's going to be a committee, that is an independent commission on equitable wages and salary, who are also going to look into the salary structure where there's going to be equity.
And he talked about that particular one just because you mentioned that. He talked about that particular commission being permanent. So there's going to be a permanent and independent commission on equitable wages and salaries. So that is very important to note. So permanent means that
there was this issue on the single span salary structure, that it seems it only works with the civil service, but all the other services that we may be of the same grade, but some people are either seemingly paid more than those in the civil service in the same grade. This committee or commission would actually be a step in the right direction for us, because it cannot be that we are doing the same work and for some reason I get more than I am. Come on. It's unfair. Then the issue of equity also becomes a problem.
Exactly. Well, this morning we are talking about reset and the salary structure to need to be reset. And the president also made it clear that I think the Article 71 or 75 office holders, they would also make sure that they all come under one umbrella, because as Yaya said, we don't have a group of people on the single spine, and we have another people on different salary structure, which does not as workers contribute to national development. The last thing I just want to touch on is that the dreams of workers will be realized in his administration. He said he's going to be a listening government. So we are hoping that after this meeting celebration, all the grievances of workers that has been presented to the president, especially that of ClockSAP, I know the president is going to listen to us and solve them.
So another thing that the president mentioned was on the 3-tier pensions.
Yeah, the pensions, yes.
He mentioned that the pension scheme not long ago had a new act enacted. That was in 2010. But that notwithstanding, there are a lot of disparities in there. So he mentioned a few technical things that are going to actually bring to the fore. He mentioned that there is disparity and challenges in the 3-tier pension, but that is not the disparity from where I sit. The disparity is not from the act or the pensions act, but it is from the running the pension scheme, the role players. And we saw that, for instance, for public sector institutions, when it comes to the pension payments, that's the tier 2 pension payments, occupational pension payments of public service institutions, the last bit of payment for some of them in 2024 is now even up to July or August. You haven't received September, October, November, and we are now in May. So this is how many months? Almost 8 months. You've not received the last 3 months and then the first 5 months. And these monies, when they are paid, are invested for you and I before we go on retirement. So if when they are paying to, the disparities are now coming in, but when they are paying, they don't pay with surcharges. Surcharges are the interest that are supposed to pay for defaulting or for delaying the payment of these things. A lot are certain that once the monies are deducted, they don't come because other people go and use it for, but these are far-fetched things, they're not sort of
allegations.
So now that is one of the things that we have to think about. The NDC have come, and then we heard that John Mahama was saying that he's going to expedite pension payments, that pension contribution payments. Now he's not talking about the pension that SSNIT is paying, because I believe that once you go on pension and you submit your documents, they pay you in tier 2, tier 3, tier 1. But what he's talking about is that delay. That's delay. And you can see that, so from the pension payments, tier 2, the last payment for most public sector institutions is in August. But when it comes to this particular year, now January, February have been paid. So it means that I don't know whether there's some politics being played over there, whether NDC have come and then they are saying that for the previous month's contributions, maybe we are not touching that, and then now we are coming to pay the previous year or the previous administration's contributions. We will deal with that later, but let us deliver on our mandates and say that since we came January, February, we've paid. Other people are saying that it's supposed to be paid in securities and all that. That's also another different ballgame. But these are some of the disparities. It is not being paid on time, and when it is to all the delays are there, the pension interests are not coming. Now when you look at the 3-tier pension scheme, it has come, and if it is followed according to plan, if you are a young person, you start contributing, there is an assurance of you retiring a millionaire in Ghana.
Okay.
There's an assurance of you retiring a millionaire, looking at historical pension interest rates and all that. If your monthly pension contributions are ongoing and are consistent every month, the contributions coming, there's an assurance you retiring not a peasant, even if you are a civil servant, because even if you are a public servant, because it is based on periodic payments. These are compounded and the interest is accumulating and compounded as well.
Interest.
So this is one thing that we shouldn't play about. But the previous administration, looking at how it was treated, it has left a sour taste. Looking at restructuring and debt exchange and all that, and even coming to negotiate with pension holders and then pension investments. It's far-fetched, but he is saying that he's coming to actually solve that particular disparity. But I think for those in the pension space and those who have knowledge of that particular industry, I'm sure they'll be happy about that. He also mentioned just before I end that ECG will not be privatized.
Exactly.
He talked about ECG and then the privatization. He said that there's going to be a public-private partnership to make sure that the best way or there's a better way is found.
Yeah.
But he, being the president of Ghana, is not going to privatize ECG. These are some of the things.
And you know, with the issue of the pensions, I'd also like to admonish our private institutions, especially the employers, that as much as you have employed people, please do well to pay their pensions, because yes, a lot of them don't pay, and this causes work tirelessly for years and have nothing to go home with, and it is unfair to them. It is cruel. Yes, it is your business you've started, but once you're a business owner, a country employing people, you should do right by them. So with all these issues coming up, it is actually, so it has to also be checked.
You are allowed to be in prison.
And that's what we were talking about earlier, about these labor laws, that people need to know their rights, because I want to share a personal experience. I won't mention it, but just before I would get into the civil service, I went to check my SNIT, statement, and apparently my previous job hadn't paid my SNIT. That's
very serious.
But then at that time, I'd left the job, so I was.
But you can, once you've worked, the law says that the Pensions Act says that your pensions contributions are to pay when you work, not when you receive pay.
Exactly.
So once you have worked, you have to have your pensions contributions being paid, not even when you receive pay. So there may be instances where your salaries will not come, but your pensions
should be paid. So that being said,
the whole issue is, some, as we said earlier, some business have not registered with SNET and even with GRE. When you go to the requirements, after registering your organization or company, you should make sure you register with SNET. And that would give you the go ahead to pay your pensions.
Why are you a business owner employing people and you have not registered with SNET? What kind of money are you looking to make?
It's a fun. People are trying to just we call it deliberate attempt to steal. That's what I would say. Still on pensions, let me see what the president said. He said every worker deserves to retire with pride and not anxiety.
Yes.
Yeah. So with this, we want to tell the employers that all workers deserve to retire with pride, not anxiety.
So that being said,
when you see them, you would.
It's so sad. And so that being said, employees, wherever you get employed, and they ask for your SNIT and everything, every now and then go and check your SNIT statements to be sure your SNIT is being paid. Else you'll be doing, what do they go, cost 90 work. Else at the end of that job you won't have anything to retire. Some people want to retire at 40. You get to 40 years and there's not even one CD in your pension. So please, this is what I can also help you with. But yes, let's go out to learn about the labor laws and then know what to do in situations like this. If you want to take your employer to court, you might have some of the the right. Yes, you might have a prerogative to handle that too. So another thing that the president mentioned that actually stuck with me was the skills development and retraining. I think I even mentioned it earlier that sometimes, in some of these institutions, they take their employees to school a little, they get a certificate in certain courses that are beneficial to the institution. And I think he mentioned that, retraining, all these things are able to help you refresh your mind about some of the work you do and things like that. And I like the fact that he's mentioned it again so that maybe it can be implemented. So if you work in an institution for 2 years, you may have had at least maybe 3 to 4 or even 5 different certificates, qualifications in various courses that maybe if you want to branch into another field of expertise, all of these things could actually help you. And of course, the qualifications do help in the salary structure and things, because the more credentials you have, the higher your chances of getting another job. And then also it helps with the growth that, okay, you've been at this job, what else do you know aside whatever it is you do you know anything else? And this helps to even keep you jobs. You are a very valuable asset. They've invested in you. So now when maybe certain things are not going your way, you're trying to negotiate for better conditions of service, maybe you're an investment, and then they listen to you because you are valuable. Losing you would be a great debt for them. So yeah.
That's in the morning we said that you are being paid for the value you add to yourself, not just because you are working. And I'll just say that in terms of retraining, that is what I would always say civil service and DOCSAC want to do. Before Nana comes in, of which I know Nana has more on that, I know Civil Service Week is going to be somewhere in August. And looking at their team, of which I saw on Clock TV Express updates, the team is all about AI, because they realize that looking at how things are going this time around, it's not the normal typing, writing. So they are trying to make sure that the work of the civil service get acquainted with the current situation, so ready for market.
Let me the specific theme here. It is adapting to automation, artificial intelligence, and e-governance.
Exactly.
So just as the word shows, we also need to adapt or you'll be left behind. And yes, our president said no worker will be left behind. So please get on board. Even if you don't know computer, please start learning. Go on YouTube. There's a lot of information just at our fingertips. Whatever it is you need to do to get on board with some of these things so you're not left behind and you start feeling sidelined, help yourself and then let the government help you. So one last thing before we wrap up is, yes, ECGs not being privatized. Are we sure that can happen?
Yes. When you listen to that speech, he cited an instance during his term of office where people were thinking that they were going to privatize ECG, but it was a partnership. That company has been with ECG till now. So he believes that under watch, there's nothing like selling out ECG to a private individual, but rather let the private investor come on board, handle some part of ECG, government takes full responsibility, and it keeps running. Because when ECG is going to be handled by a private individual, then it's very expensive. I think, as the president has said, we would always mark him by his words. I know a time is coming now. During his when he came to office, sooner we will do all these things. We will come and sit here and also do the 120-day social contract to know what the president has done, what he has not done. We said we are going to mark the president. And we will do such discussion on this very show one of the days to know what the president has done after the 120 days.
How much progress he's made.
Exactly.
I hope we'll be lenient on him. We can't be too. Because it seems as though he's made a lot of strides, if we are being honest.
I think what we are just trying to say is that, okay, you said you do A, B, C, we do 120. Have we done it? Yes. If we've done it,
I think that's what everyone should be held accountable to their work, because you have said these words and then the whole country has given a resounding victory, over 1 million votes for you to actually do that. For you to be in the position that you are in. So it's just fair that, and I believe that so far with what we've seen, some of the things that we were told that we'll see, abolition of these taxes and all that, and resetting agenda and all that. I think we've seen I mean, in doing some of these things, you ruffle a few shoulders, you step on a few toes and all that. Yeah. So I think that's what has happened, but then there's still a long way to go. Utilities keep rising, and now the cost is over there. And then you compare that to the salary increments, which was 10%. So you actually even mentioned that today, that this was the first time. That was the Honorable Minister for Employment and Labour Relations. He mentioned that this was the first time that a sitting president came and had his seat and looked eyeball to eyeball to workers to negotiate salary structures. And even around that particular time, it was very tense because workers were agitated and wanted to go on strike because standard cost of living was very, very much high, on the high side. And he was able to negotiate with them and tell them that I can give you 10% for this particular year, which was even lower than the rate of inflation. Give you 10% for this year, and then the following year we can actually look forward to that. And today in his address, he further reiterated that and said that yes, I said that thank you for agreeing to the 10% for this particular year, but then the future looks bright.
So the reason I was saying to be lenient on our president is not political affiliations or anything. It's only because of the fact that it seems the past 8 years have been.
He said that he's just 4 months in office, and even he talked about the aspect of Galamsey fight. So he said we should give him.
So all I'm trying to say is that for the fact that the past 8 years have not been what we expected, it is very natural or normal to look at this new government with very, very critical eyes and be very strict on them, with no room for even a little trial and error or just some sort of failure. That's the only reason I said that though. So I'm just trying to clarify. And I mean, this conversation, we could have this conversation the whole day.
We didn't mention the theme for this particular resetting pay or making conditions in Ghana, the role of stakeholders, and I'm sure if you were listening to us, that this was so he mentioned the various stakeholders, fair wages and salaries, Ministry of Employment, the chairman of Forum also was the Dr. Isaac Brado, and talked about the various stakeholders and the part and the role that they will play. Just to summarize, he also talked about the independent and permanent independent commission to be set on wages and salaries, equitable wages and salaries. All these stakeholders will come to the fore.
I would like to take your Mayday messages, 2 seconds each. Then we can go and join our colleagues on the ground. So, Nanaya, you go first.
Happy New Year to everyone. Keep up the good work that you are doing. Your hands are actually working to provide benefits for the whole country. Yes.
Thank you, Clement.
So happy New Year to our viewers, and also happy New Year to Clock TV staff. It's for us, even holiday, so happy New Year to we all.
Yes, so happy New Year to everybody. Employers, improve the working conditions of your employees. That's what's on my heart. I'd say.
Employees.
Yes, employees. Also put in your best, be efficient, be productive as well. Thank you so much for joining us. This was amazing. I did this with Clement Yabankwe and Nanaya Wasari. We will see you soon.
Clog TV, beyond the policy.